I'd like to ask Mayor Frank to take over the mic from me, but I just want to say welcome to all of you. I am responsible for community services, and part of community services is public events, and part of that is acknowledging all of the volunteers in Highland Park who do such a wonderful job and dedication and commitment to serving the town. Mayor and Council, we could not do this without all of you here, and of course all of the ones who could not be here this evening because of work or other commitments. So I say thank you and congratulations to you, and I'm going to ask Mayor Frank to take us through the Pledge of Allegiance and honoring our 2003 Volunteer of the Year. Mayor Frank.
Thank you. For those who don't know, by the way, this is Councilwoman Carolyn Timmons, and she's in charge of Community Services. She's the liaison to the Community Services Department, and she put tonight's events together. So thank you, Carolyn. We start this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'd like to ask Barry Chris if he would lead us.
Thanks. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In order to liven up the event, the last couple of years we did have the event here, and then we tried something a little different last year. We had an author come in and talk about volunteerism and what that means, and she signed her book last year. But we wanted to liven it up, and the mayor was thanking me, but I really need to thank Irene Glinsky. She's the secretary to Mayor and Council. Donna Como, who is the director of community services, and her staff, Kim and Lisa and Lou, just absolutely everybody who helped to help me. So if you would thank them, I don't want to forget them as we get caught up in the festivities. As you entered and registered your name, you were given a form, and we'd like, if you've completed your networking form, to put it in this bowl that Lisa Blum has, and we're going to go through the event, and then we have some prizes at the end of the event. So if you want to win, it's like the lottery, you have to stay. And throughout the event this evening, we have some trivia questions for you. So if you answer that correctly, I'll ask you to come on down and select your gift out of a little box. And then we have one prize. If you've seen this beautiful, beautiful centerpiece out in the hall that was donated by Hollywood and Vine, someone this evening is very lucky, besides Barry Chris. Someone else is very lucky because they'll take that centerpiece with them. So I'm going to turn this back to the mayor, and once in a while we'll ask you a trivia question, or we'll ask you to do something, and there are gifts involved. So we want you to have fun, and we want to just show you our appreciation. Mayor Frank? Thank you.
Before we get started with tonight's festivities, I thought that we should just take a moment to remember a few of the volunteers in Highland Park that we've lost this last year. This has been a tremendously sad year for the community, but also for the community of volunteers. We've had some very significant losses. Jean Young being one of our former volunteers of the year, a former councilman, member of the Board of Education, member of the Environmental Commission, and any number of other commissions, someone who was absolutely dedicated to this community, and someone that we will surely miss. We also lost Ruth Glassman this year. She, as many of you know, was an advocate for people with disabilities and was an enormous asset to our community, but also was the governor's volunteer of the year this year for the entire state of New Jersey. And unfortunately, we lost her in Highland Park this year also. Richard Marks, another volunteer who died far too young at 46 this year. Very active in our planning board, in the Environmental Commission, another wonderful, wonderful member of our community. Lionel Burkett, who was another volunteer. He ran his show on our cable station, a man with a tremendous sense of humor and optimism, and he will also surely be missed. There are many, many others, and in Chief Sheehan just last week, another fantastic volunteer, years and years of service, a gentleman, a peacekeeper, just a wonderful human being. And if I've forgotten any, please let me know. Just standing up here, it came to me that I needed to remember these people. And maybe we could all give them a round of applause. We are also very lucky to have with us tonight, I believe, 3 former volunteers of the year. And if they wouldn't mind just coming forward, Joy Norsworthy. Joy? Over here she is, raising her hand. Joy is responsible for our front steps, for access for people in wheelchairs, for people who have difficulty on the stairs, entering our borough hall from the front steps. This woman is single-handedly responsible for that. She's wonderful. Arnold Henderson. Arnold, where are you? Arnold Henderson, another volunteer of the year. Arnold's dream for the Environmental Center is finally going out to bid, going to be coming true. That will be on River Road. He worked together with Jean Young on just an absolutely beautiful design, and we will all be able to enjoy that soon, I hope. And then we have Michael Ritz with us. Michael is last year's Volunteer of the Year. Michael is the chair of our food pantry. And as many of you may remember, when we started the food pantry in Highland Park, people said that they didn't believe we really needed it. And we're serving how many families?
80 now.
80 families each time they open up. It's absolutely needed in Highland Park, and it's a real service, and we thank you. You know, as you can see, we have, where, oh, what am I saying? Well, he's behind that camera. Gary, stand in front of the camera and smile. We also have Gary Leslie, who puts in hours and hours and hours with our Volunteer of the Year, another absolutely dedicated to Highland Park. All of these people do this really not looking for recognition. They're doing it for our community, and we thank them for that. Tonight, we are going to add to their ranks. You know, on 9/11, we were all feeling like we had to take time to recognize volunteers, and especially people in the emergency services. And at that time, we were all so thankful to them. And over the years, I was afraid that that thankfulness and recognition would fade. And I can tell you this, in Highland Park, and I would bet in other communities also, it has not. And the role that the firemen, the first aid, and the police play in our community has been heightened because of what happened at 9/11, and their contributions to the community. I think for the first time, people are starting to really understand just how much of a sacrifice it is, and the kind of people, the kind of person it takes to do this sort of work. Our honoree tonight, our Volunteer of the Year, Barry Chris. Barry, why don't you come on forward? One of our volunteers who did respond on 9/11. Barry is the sort of volunteer who has gone into burning buildings. Gary is the sort of volunteer who has delivered babies, 7? Yes. Who has delivered babies, and Barry is the sort of volunteer, you know, we're going to honor everyone, who has saved lives, which is absolutely remarkable. And I know Barry is not someone looking for attention. Barry is someone who is doing this because he believes it's the right thing to do, and because he learned from his own family, a third-generation volunteer in our first aid squad, from his own family, from an example from his family, that this is the right thing to do. And that's the only reason. That's it. Pretty remarkable, isn't it? Let's just give him a hand just for that. A native of Highland Park. He's a graduate of Highland Park High School. He, however, when he got married, moved out of Highland Park, but we consider him an honorary resident. He doesn't have to pay taxes, but he gets all the benefits, I guess. He pays for it, we owe him. And I should say also, we have many volunteers in Highland Park who are not residents. but feel compelled to work in this community, I think because it is a community. We know each other, we care about each other, and it is not so big and so impossible that you don't really understand that you're helping people, individuals that you know. And so to all of those people that are not in Highland Park, we need to thank them as well. Barry started on the squad as a cadet, that's with 16 to 20-year-olds, and he has been serving for 34 years of active duty. As I mentioned, Barry learned this commitment to the community from his family. His father, his brother, and his son have all volunteered on the Highland Park First Aid Squad. Pretty amazing also, isn't it? Barry answers an average of 200 calls a year. Think about that. 365 days a year. He responds to 200. At his level, he's been around a long time. There are many members that have been around a long time. But Barry is still active. He's still there, and he's still doing all of that hard work. In addition to that, Barry is a member of our emergency management team. That is the team that responds to a bigger emergency. That's the team that responds on 9/11. They go to the site of an accident. And if you don't know, if you haven't seen these volunteers in action, they are serious, they are committed, they are there to save lives, and we all owe them a debt of gratitude. In addition to his work on the volunteer first aid squad, he is also very active with the Boy Scouts, and he's been a Scoutmaster for 15 years. Yes, remarkable. I have known Barry to be someone who is here for the right reasons, who is a gentleman, who is committed to our community, and has all of the qualities of a volunteer that we honor in our Volunteers of the Year. These are people that go above and beyond, and they set an example for all of us. And so I would like to, before we present you with the plaque, I would like to ask a couple of other people to come up and say a few words if you don't mind. Elsie Foster Dublin is the liaison to our Public Safety Committee. And Elsie, want to come up and say a few words?
With pleasure. Barry, this is your night for all the years of serving in Highland Park, and I can say that we produce good volunteers in Highland Park. 3 generations and growing strong, and you've started your 4th generation of volunteerism. We want to thank you so much here in Highland Park. You responded on 9/11, you've responded to our tongues on numerous occasions, and you're there for the people of Highland Park and for the people of this wonderful country. We want to thank you so much. Thank you for everything, and continue the good work.
And Barry, we asked Ari Lewiter if he would come and say something from the members of your own squad about your dedication and about their respect for you.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, Barry, what could I say? What hasn't been said already? There's actually a lot more. I joined the squad about 18 years ago, and Barry has been a mentor to me actually from day one. He's done so much. He's actually been a mentor for all the cadets that actually have joined up over many, many years. He has, as mentioned before, he's delivered seven babies already. Actually, I'm the second one. I have 6 already. So, but no. I delivered 6. He's delivered 7, but he has all girls. He's still waiting to get that boy. Let's see. Barry, as we have actually a life membership on our squad. After 10 years of active service, people have a right to retire. Now, Barry has gotten his life membership, 24 years ago, 25 years ago. But to show his commitment, he's actually never retired. He still keeps up with all his certifications. He began back in 1970, was it, right? It was just simple basic first aid and CPR. He moved up to advanced first aid, took EMT, took a lot of advanced certifications such as PHTLS, pre-hospital trauma life support, became a paramedic assistant, and many, many other certifications to make sure that actually he stays current and he still actually answers the 200 calls a year. Now, if you think about that, each call is an hour to an hour and a quarter. So over 34 years, that's about 6,500, 6,600 calls. That's like 66,000 hours of service that he's actually put into this town. And that is just the answering of the call. There's actually a lot else that actually has to go on. We have, there's 3 meetings a month. We have to continue our certifications. That's probably another 50 to 100 hours a year, actually over a 3-year period. There's a tremendous amount of work that actually has to go in, and Barry continues to put it in. Let's see, some of the other things that he has done that hasn't been mentioned. If you remember back in Hurricane Floyd, when we actually had the big flood, Barry's one of the 2 people that went out with the squad boat out to Bound Brook and actually spent the whole night, about 12 hours, pulling people out of like 2nd floor windows into the boat and then bringing them back to dry land. Again, that is the commitment that actually he has to doing that. And all of this is without actually getting anything back. He just wants to help people. And besides the first aid, Barry has been working in a lot of different committees. I mean, he is Mr. House Committee in our squad. Anything that goes wrong, as far as the building goes, he is the person that actually has to fix it. He's also in charge of our rigs. He's our chief driver. And has been actually in the 25th journal, 25th anniversary journal for the First Aid Squad. He was listed as chief driver, and in the 50th anniversary journal, he was listed as chief driver, and he was every year in between. So I believe that's about it. That I actually have to say, congratulations.
Now, Barry, I'd like to present you with this plaque. It says Volunteer of the Year 2003, Barry Chris, presented by the Highland Park Mayor and Council for outstanding dedication to the community. Congratulations.
Opportunity just to thank all my squad members that are here tonight and that helped me through the year. Thank the mayor and council for the little honor tonight, and thank all the borough residents. I spent a lot of time taking care of them, and I enjoyed every minute of it. Okay, thank you.
Barry. And I want to thank all the members of the First Aid Squad and all the volunteers that we have that volunteer. And speaking of First Aid, the First Aid Squad has this year a discount card that they're selling, and it's to provide more equipment for their department. And they're doing a fundraiser. Anyone who's interested in purchasing the cards for various stores around town, they have gifts, they have laundry, they have pizzerias. The cards are available right over there at the First Aid Center. So please come out and continue to support them as much as they've supported us. They need our support now. Thanks.
As Volunteer of the Year, Barry gets to ask our first trivia question, and that starts our prize giveaway, Barry.
All right. What year did Mayor Frank first take office?
That's a trivia question.
You know?
What year? 2000. And all of our gifts have been donated by SPAN, Special Supportive Parent Aid Network. You're welcome. Look at that. Okay. Here's a really easy one. What is the date of the centennial birthday of Highland Park?
05. And Harvey cannot answer.
Someone not on the Centennial Commission. Who's that? Jill. Very good. Okay. Oh, you need that for your drugs? Okay. Okay, Mayor.
And now we're going to go on to talk about the rest of the volunteers in this community. We have over 400 volunteers. Now, this is in a community of 14,000 people. 400 volunteers volunteering for anything from the Arts Commission, the Commission on Aging, Shade Tree Commission, the Office of Emergency Management, our First Aid and Fire Squads. Unbelievable amount of volunteering. In addition to that, we also have the Main Street organization, which is sort of in but not of the borough. A separate organization started as you know by the borough, but I believe they have about 270 volunteers now, 70 very active volunteers. It's absolutely remarkable. What it says to us is that in this community, people are dedicated and they understand that their work's going to mean something, that it makes a difference. And we thank all of you for that. Tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to ask each of the council members to present the volunteer pins and the volunteer pins to their own commissions. Fern, would you like to start with yours? This is our council president, Fern Welter Goodhart, and she will start with the commissions that she represents.
For the volunteers who received our token of appreciation 2 years ago, if you're wearing your pins, stand up.
Keep standing. We have gifts. Keep standing.
Door prize for people who are wearing their pins. This evening's also different in a slight way, where we've invited members of the community who aren't yet appointed to boards or commissions to come down, meet those members who are serving, and see if there's a vacancy on a board or commission that they're interested in perhaps joining. Can I just see a show of hands if there's anyone here not yet on a board or commission? Okay, so think of your neighbors, think of your friends, encourage them to do what you're doing. The first commission I have the honor of working with, no poems tonight by the way, is the Commission for Universal Access. Joy Norsworthy is the chair. She is a very active advocate for accessibility, both in services, in infrastructure, and in enforcement. And I'm going to go to Joy and give her the pins. Thank her very much for her service. And I know there are a few vacancies on the Commission for Universal Access. So if it's something you've been thinking about, this could be the commission for you. Third Thursday of the month, lower level conference room. Is there anyone else on the Commission for Universal Access here? Oh, Martha. Thank you. I don't know. Okay, we have 3 members. I think there's room for 1 more and 2 alternates. Thank you. The next board is the Board of Health. Lou Fishberg, I know he's here. He actually probably gets an award for the longest, the member with the longest standing on a board. 31 years on the Board of Health. Lou, if you'll come up and get your pins. Very well. Hold on. The Board of Health does many things, including making sure the restaurants are safe, the swimming pools are clean, the weeds are cut, and that you're breathing clean air, drinking clean water. Are there other members of the Board of Health here tonight? I see Laurel, I see Helen. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lou. Food Pantry. You've already met the chair of the Food Pantry, Michael Ritz. One of the newer boards in town. Takes a lot of volunteers to run a food pantry. All of you could be volunteers just by donating food. Every time you come to Borough Hall or the Stop and Shop, there's a bin. So think about picking up something extra every time you get food for yourself, volunteering perhaps at the food pantry twice a month to help those families who aren't as fortunate as we are. And there are some special members who serve on the food pantry board. Are there any members in the audience that serve with Michael? Oh, Jody. Thank you very much, Michael.
The Municipal Alliance is that group that looks at funding programs in town to help youth and seniors in particular cope with, prevent, stay away from problems with drugs and alcohol, whether it's prescription abuse, dangerous drinking, or experimenting with drugs. And we've had a turnover in membership. Are there any members here on the Municipal Alliance? Bruce and Harvey. Bruce, do you want to take the pins for the group? In fact, I know we're having a meeting next Wednesday morning, May 5th at 8 a.m. at the high school. Thank you both. There are a few vacancies for members at large, so if you're interested in a board that doesn't meet every month but does something quite tangible and important, the Municipal Alliance might be the group for you. The Housing Authority is another unusual group that has statutory authority to make sure that the management of Section 8 vouchers and our federally funded housing building here for seniors and the garden apartments are properly maintained, staffed, and safe. Is there any here from the Housing Authority? Thank you, Mary. If you'll take the pins for the group, they also just meet every other month. Thank you. And last but not least is the Rent Leveling Board. This also is a group that only meets every other month. They're responsible to make sure that those members of our community living in rent-controlled apartments have the services that are provided to them by law and that their rents are protected. There's about 10% of the rental properties in Highland Park still rent-controlled. I know Stu Bresler is the chair. I don't see Stu here. There's Mary Jones here, Jules here. I'll bring the pins to them. And there actually are a few vacancies in alternate positions. So if you want to help protect the rent-controlled housing stock in town, this could be the board for you. Did I leave anybody out of my boards or commissions? Thank you all very much. Oh, okay. Will all my volunteers please stand up so we can give you a special round of applause? Thank you very much. It is an honor to be your liaison. And trivia question number 2. What council members oversee community events? That is correct. That was a giveaway. So what does he win? What does he win? Whatever in the box. Tom, pick. You two could win a snow shovel. Thank you.
Okay, Gary Minkoff. I'm sorry, Elsie's ready. Councilman Elsie Foster Dublin will come out now, and she is the liaison to the Public Safety Commission.
Okay. Tonight, the first group we're calling up is, surprisingly enough, First Aid. Can we have the chair of First Aid, or can we have First Aid come up and to show our members that are here tonight? And I would like to put the pin on the chair of First Aid. Can we have the members from the squad come up, please? We're just going to take a couple of minutes and put the pin on the lapel. I don't want to get real personal. Thank you so much. And this is just a few of the members from our volunteer first aid squad. Thank you, each and every one. And who's not here, could you please, Layla, make sure they get their pins? Oh, I'll let you tell us all the people who are here who are representing the first aid squad tonight.
I'm Layla Rabbits, I'm the president.
Ari Lewitter, the captain.
Glenn Sebo Jr., a cadet. David Lowenstein.
Bruce Nadler.
Lawrence Margolin, first lieutenant.
Alan Finistad, second lieutenant.
Barry Crisp, I guess you know that already.
Becky Lauer.
Dave Granoff.
Betty Luverity.
Evan Leibowitz.
Alex Rothenberg, trustee.
Dan Verity. Stephen Verity, assistant captain.
Paul Shaw.
Thank you. Now the next team of volunteers I'm going to call up is our fire department. And I would like all the members of the fire department that are here to please come up. And leading the pack is our fire chief, Chief Theo. No, don't go that far. And Chief Theo, I would like to present you with our volunteer pin this year for the volunteers appreciation for 2004. Where would you like me to place your pin? Right on the lapel. Thank you. And Chief, could you just please name everyone, give everyone an opportunity to say their names?
I'm Larry Field, the fire chief.
I'm Vince Murphy. I'm the second assistant chief. I was chief 93, 94 of Borough of Highland Park.
Mark Robinson, captain, truck company number 3.
Mike Hersey, engine company 1. Keith Ettinger, engine company 2.
Jeff Morris, engine company 2.
Michelle Penn, engine company 2.
Thank you all, and these are the remainder of the pins. Please get them out. Thank you. And I'm not going to let Jeff Morris go all the way back and have him come all the way back, because these two guys are on OEM, our Office of Emergency Management. And is there any other members from the Office of Emergency Management that are out there? Please come up. See how our volunteers are multitask? They serve on they do many functions and serves on many boards and commissions. And now I'm going to put Mr. Morris' pin on him as soon as I turn in the right direction. And the mayor is going to help me give out the remainder of the pins. Two. Great. And I'll give you an opportunity to say a few words and introduce the members.
I'm Jeff Morris. I'm the borough coordinator for emergency management. I'll just pass it down.
You know me, Larry Field, fire chief.
Jody Carter. Diane Ray.
Ari Lewitter, still the captain.
Mike Hersey, deputy coordinator, Borough Highland Park.
It's still me.
Me too.
Thank you so much. Wonderful team of volunteers. Last but not least, any member of our pedestrian safety task force that's here tonight. My meeting's tomorrow night, and I see Joy Norsworthy who's here, and I'll give you your pen and ask you to give the rest of these out tomorrow. And Joy daughter graciously accepts. Oh, wait. My son, the budding photographer. Thank you, everyone. And now it's my turn to ask a trivia question. Oh, wow. I get to ask a difficult one, I think. It says, what was the original name of Highland Park? Now that deserves a really big prize. Who answered? Arnold? New Brunswick? East New Brunswick. Where's this big prize? No. New Brunswick? Okay. Yes. That was a tough one.
And now I'd like to ask up Councilman Gary Minkoff. Gary is the liaison to Public Works and to the environmental committees, and he's done a tremendous job there. Gary is in charge of our green community.
Thank you, Mayor Frank. Well, since this microphone is portable, we'll do this the mobile way. And first, I want to thank the members of the Environmental Commission, Shade Tree Advisory Committee, and Green Community Working Group. And Mike Rosenberg, the chairman of our Environmental Commission, is here. So, Michael, first, thank you. And in approximately 15 seconds, can you tell us a little bit about the Environmental Commission?
We meet the third Wednesday of each month in Borough Hall. And I know you've all been promised and are waiting for the new Environmental Education Center on River Road. And it's going to be coming very soon. So keep an eye out for that.
Thank you, Michael. I'm going to give the pins for the Shade Tree Advisory Committee to one of our main go-to people when it comes to the environment in Highland Park. One of my personal favorites, you're all my personal favorites, Dr. Arnold Henderson. Arnold, would you give us an equal amount of time on Shade Tree Advisory Committee?
It's advisory, so we get to advise on anything we feel like advising on. And so that gets us into a lot of different things, the street trees, the open space. There's a new trail down to Donaldson by the DPW that's just been planted. And we've had a little hand in all of those things, as well as the Environmental Center, along with the Environmental Commission.
Thank you, Arnold. Laurel Kornfeld is also here from the Environmental Commission, so Laurel, thank you for all your help. And I've got the pins for the Green Community Working Group, and without going into a lot of detail, I can only tell you that the Green Community Working Group is responsible for the environmental sustainability component of the Mayor's 2020 plan, and you will be hearing a lot more about it. I won't repeat what I said at the council meeting last week. You can catch it all on tape. Gary, it's on tape, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So it's on tape. You can watch it on TV and learn more, and there will be more information forthcoming shortly about that. And now it's my turn for a trivia question? Well, there's so many to choose from. I like this one. Name the 4 major sports played in Highland Park. Okay. What are they? We had a hand over here? Okay, so what's the answer from back there? What are they? Shh, I can't hear. Is that right? Okay. They're both getting it. Oh, let me get the Green Community pins. Thank you, Mayor Frank.
Okay. And now I will ask once she's finished giving out some prizes, Councilwoman Timmons to present the pins to her committees.
Thank you, Mayor. Sometimes there's so many that I forget, but I think that I will copy Councilman Minkoff and just go out because I see my volunteers on a regular basis, and I really would like to start with the one that means a lot in this year and the next coming year, which is the Centennial Commission. If you were out for the street fair, you're driving through town, you saw our banner. Highland Park will be 100 years old, March 15th next year, 2005. We're in the process of planning year-long events, and I'm going to ask Harvey Brutner just to say a few words about that, and he's the chair of the Centennial Commission. Hi, Harvey.
Hi, thank you. We're all aware of the fact that in some 10 months from now, we'll be having a birthday celebrating 1905. But most of us don't realize that if you go back a year before that, a company named Johnson & Johnson had about 10 acres of land in Highland Park and even had 4 different buildings that it used. One of the important activities in Highland Park was what we would call research and development. And the head of it was a man named Fred Kilmer. And his son was Alfred Joyce Kilmer, who became famous all over the world because he wrote the poem Trees. 91 years old now, and in every language you can imagine. He actually came in contact with an important, beautiful tree in the land of Rutgers University now, and he met that tree in the year 1904. In other words, this year, in June, we're going to have the 100th year of Alfred Joyce Kilmer falling in love with a famous tree. We're going to plant a grandchild of that tree in Highland Park. It'll be in front of the high school. And we're going to have that major activity in June 15 of this year. We're going to begin the activity in Highland Park and in New Brunswick. In New Brunswick, we're going to begin with the George Street Playhouse, which, while it's in New Brunswick, the original person who founded it was Eric Krebs of Highland Park. And they've been very good to help us in many ways. Thank you. Tuesday, June 15th.
Tuesday, June 15th, if you're able to come out and join Harvey and the Centennial members and some others who would be in New Brunswick and then coming to Highland Park. For those of you who did go to the street fair, we had a history trivia quiz on Highland Park. If you have that this evening in the brochure, the box is still at the library, and you can put your answers in there, and we're going to select a grand prize winner for that, and that person will be honored with mayor and slicing of the cake in March 2005. So stay tuned. The Arts Commission, Tom Brown is here, so I'll ask Tom to say a few words about what the Arts Commission is doing and take their pens.
Hi, my name is Tom Brown. We're the Arts Commission. We do a number of arts-related activities. Last year, the photo competition have had presenters come into town. I believe we also have an opening or two available for people who would like to help encourage the arts here in Highland Park. Thanks.
Okay. And if you did your networking, you'll realize that, and you read the quarterly newsletter, I acknowledge one of our chairs of the Council on Aging is Florence Henderson, and she continues to get residual checks, I believe, from television and radio, but Florence Hoffman is actually in charge
with Irene Dworick of the Council on Aging. So Florence.
She blew my cover. Here I thought I was famous. The Council on Aging concerns itself with the problems that come up in this building. We started, really, or I started, when we were in the old building down on Raritan Avenue. And what we do really is listen to our people, especially that lady on the end, and see if there are any problems that we can help solve here in Highland, in our building. We're very proud of this building. It took us a long time to get it. And this is our baby. And anybody that messes with it hears about it from the seniors who do not hesitate to say so. Right, Ida? You got it. Anyway, can we acknowledge the people who are here? Absolutely. Lester Feller, who wears two hats because Lester also teaches a woodworking class. Who we got here? Helen Klein. Madeline Coyle. Madeline also has a very talented son who comes over. Tim Coyle, who comes over and entertains us with his I guess they're not records, they're cassettes, his music, right? Who else is here? And Ervil. How do I forget Ervil? I didn't miss anybody, did I? There's several people who are absent tonight. That's it.
Thank you, Florence. We also have the Recreation Advisory Committee. I'll ask Ron. Ron? You'll say a few words what the rec is doing?
Hi. Truly, without the volunteers, recreation wouldn't exist in this township. And the youth of Highland Park, Chris Tyler, our director, couldn't be here tonight. And all the people are going to be here tomorrow night at the important meeting we have on baseball. I'd like to thank everybody in recreation. Would the recreation people stand up, our coaches and volunteers? Thank you.
Also, the Human Rights Commission is one of the other commissions I'm responsible for. I'll ask Bruce Morgan to come up and say a little bit about human rights and take the pins for them. Hi, Bruce.
Hello, everybody. I just want to say the Human Rights Commission, we're here in town to help with all the isms, sexism, racism, people against physically challenged, etc., and so on. We meet the third Wednesday of the month. Have any concerns, please come to the commission, and we'll try to do our best to address them. Thank you.
All right, and one more. We have members. Stand up. Rabbi Lincoln. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, and we have others, as Florence indicated, in this building that do so much for the seniors and youth. And Lisa Blum is the director of aging and does a lot in providing and looking at services, so I'll just ask her to say a few words.
In addition to the Aging Council that Florence talked about, most of our seniors wear two hats. They participate, they're advocates for their needs and those of others, and of course, they do everything around here. We have people who teach courses, people who prepare parties, copying, answering phones, cooking, cleaning, anything that's required, bringing food in, etc. So I'm just going to read the names of the ones that I know are here this evening, and if you could stand up at your seat, I'd appreciate that. First, Stella Drost, Lester Feller, Jim Dunleavy, Paul Sharp, Eileen Wang, Paula Bolentine, Mimi Ganger and Claudia Recco of of Project SPAN, Clara O'Neill, Brandon Foster Dublin, Madeline Coyle, Ed Hoffman, Mary Kirkus and Harry Silverstein, Leslie Torak, our piano player this evening, Mary Barry, Ida O'Connor, and Hope and Carl Isaacs, Mariella and Anna. And is there anybody I forgot besides the Aging Council who was already acknowledged? Sunny. Oh, Sunny. I didn't see you come in, Sunny. Thank you all for everything you do.
Trivia question real quick. Just pick one.
Okay, I like this one. How many ice cream stores are there in Highland Park?
2.
And name them.
Who knows the answer?
One Easton one. Only one
Matt, we'll go to the next question. Mayor, you want to? We'll have to hold that one. Think about it. Oh, who told you? Someone told you. Okay. Hold on, Brandon. Say the answers again.
Dairy Queen, Corner Confectionery, and Cleo's.
Cleo serves ice cream. Yeah. Our Council President, Fern Walter Goodhart, will be handling the committees that Councilman John Erickson, who couldn't be with us tonight, is the liaison to. John's teaching tonight, so I have the honor of giving out his pins. And I do want to point out that many of the boards and commissions brought material describing their missions, their goals, their accomplishments, and a lot of that material is on the table around the room. Take some, look it over, take some blank talent bank forms to give to your neighbors and friends. You can also find some of that information on our website, hpboro.com. The Cable Television Advisory Board, also looking for members. They do a great service for everybody who complains to us that they don't see all the meetings and activities of the borough on the cable. They need help. So I'm going to bring the pins to the video camera. Get my good side. Thank you, Gary, former Volunteer of the Year. And if you're interested in helping at the board meetings, getting behind the camera, learning how to edit, it's actually a lot of fun. You could learn this, and he really needs some help. Thank you very much. The Library Board of Trustees, who is also another group actually with but not of the borough. They do a lot of work independently, but they certainly have the support of mayor and council, and they remind us rightly that they're one of the most active libraries in the state. Is there anyone here from the Library Board of Trustees? Julie Green? I'm sorry, I don't know your board very well. Here's your pin, and if you'll introduce your members for us.
Sure. Carl Wilson is here. Carl? We are, I think, the busiest library in Middlesex County, certainly, possibly in the state. And I have brought some invitations to events coming up at the library, a lecture by Mark Mappin, who's just published the Encyclopedia of New Jersey. One of our film series films is coming up, and there's a list of children's programs, and much, much more at the library. So come in and enjoy it. We're constantly trying to expand our services, and we'd love to see you there. Mark, come forward.
Is Mark here? Mark Mappin's also on the Library Board of Trustees. Jim Reed, too, I think, and many other good residents. Thank you for all you do. The CDBG, Community Development Block Grant. I'm sorry, blanked. Sure. That's also another group that looks at some of the infrastructure needs in town and provides money for needed infrastructure improvements. They're helping improve the accessibility, for example, of council chambers. They support...
Applications come in every year and they're different.
Applications come in every year and they're different. So you too could put an application together for some community development block grant funding. Mary Jo Vanesco's on the board. I think Jewel Delaney is also. So why don't I bring the pins to Mary Jo, and if you want to say a word or two about some of the, or not. Thank you very much. It's another group that's able to award funds to strengthen the borough and some of the needed programs and bricks and mortar that the borough needs. John would do this much better than I. The Board of Adjustments, also known as the Zoning Board, Chuck Liebling told us he wouldn't be able to be here tonight. Is there anyone on the Zoning Board that was able to come? Okay, in fact, I think they had a meeting a night or two ago, so they're probably in recovery from meetings. So we'll make sure they get their pins. They're the group that reviews the Zoning Board, the applications for zoning variances. And lastly, we have the Juvenile Conference. I know Nancy Wolf is here. Is there anyone else on the commission, Nancy? Okay, then why don't we bring the pins to Nancy, and if you want to say a word or two about what the group does. Thank you.
Yes, hi, my name is Nancy Wolf. I'm here with Margaret Fridella from the Middlesex County Juvenile Conference Committee. Basically, this is a committee that a lot of people don't know about. We are appointed by the court, and what we do is we work with kids as a form of alternate sentencing for kids that might have done something that really doesn't have so much of it as a permanent record, but needs a little direction. We are looking for additional volunteers for our committee, and if anyone would be interested, they can contact the borough. We're going to have postings on the website, or actually on the cable channel at the library, and they can always call me if they want to listen to the phone book. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. And is there another question to read? That's my favorite part. Okay. I know the answer to this one. What is the newest addition to Donaldson Park?
The building is a big one.
The dog run, yes. And I understand not only are the dogs getting to know each other, but the owners are too.
Steve Nolan also could not be here with us tonight, and I have pins for some of the boards that he represents. He is on the planning board. Are there members of the planning board here tonight? Okay, great. Diane Ray and Joy Norsworthy. The planning board is here in Highland Park. If you want to take out something, thank you. Maybe we'll let them say a little bit about the planning board. How about that? Here. This is the Phil Donahue version.
Well, the planning board reviews, here's applications for people who want to make site plan improvements to their property. They want to add additions, or businesses want to expand or change the way they are. So we look at the land use ordinance and see what fits and approve it or not approve it.
Thank you. What the planning board focuses on is the vision for the future for Highland Park. And what they do is they make sure that all of the new buildings comply with where we want to go in Highland Park. And they are very active, and it's a tremendous amount of work. We also have the Neighborhood Preservation Project. Are there any members here from the NPP? The NPP is an area in Highland Park, which is from this South 6th all the way over to Edison and to Woodbridge Avenue. It's a designation that was given to Highland Park by the Department of Community Affairs, and we get money each year to do home improvements there and economic development. We've brought in a new director, Derek Green, there, and he's done a wonderful job, got us caught up and brought in even more money this year. And we are looking to get that project extended, and we're told that it looks very good for us. In addition to them, we have the Main Street Committee, which we explained was sort of is really not of the borough, but we have so many volunteers there. The Board of Main Street we thought that we would honor tonight. It's chaired by Ed Guttenplan, who's done a tremendous job, as you can see. You know that we brought in about $4 million last year and hired people to help us with the design. On May 4th, I believe they'll be making their first presentation, looking at what all of the public meetings over the past 2 or 3 years, what the public has said, and they're bringing it all together so that the public can look at it again, and then they'll come up with a design. The design firm is called WRT. They designed the Baltimore Inner Harbor. They're doing a wonderful job, and Main Street is overseeing that. As well as you may see as you go downtown, the planters have all been moved, and they've brought in volunteers. The volunteers will be planting and caring for those planters downtown, and you know it makes a tremendous difference to have live flowers cared for and not be used as trash bins. Main Street has 4 committees. One is organization. They actually run the Main Street organization. One is promotions or publicity, and they run the events, the nights in the park. We've had 4 or 5 events a year. They're going to be working on Unity Day together with our Human Rights Commission and the Department of Community Affairs. They've done cruise night as well. The design committee, they are working with WRT, and they are in charge of the planters, and they've just created a new committee that will be looking at the windows of the stores. And what is the last one? Economic restructuring. This is a group, Brian Taxman from Pino's and Mona Phillips are chairing this group, and they are working to bring new businesses in town and to help the businesses that are here thrive. They've done a wonderful job. As I mentioned before, they have over 200 volunteers and 70 that are active volunteers, and they've done a tremendous job. Let me just give them a round of applause. The next is the community response team. This community response team, we have an Office of Emergency Management that you've met. Jeff Morris chairs that. The community response team was created 9 months before 9/11. After 9/11, there were all sorts of reports, people saying the communities were not ready because they needed teams of people that would know how to get the word out and how to deal with communities in case of an emergency. Highland Park had our community response team 9 months before. So the Office of Emergency Management met to deal with the issues around 9/11, and in fact, we were getting ready. We were being told that we might have to deal with victims here, and our own volunteers were going into New York, but the community response team dealt with the community. They worked with the schools to talk with the schools about how we were going to deal with children, to make sure children had parents to return home to, and how they were going to deal with the psychological impact. On the community response team, we have members of the religious communities, we have psychologists that help us come up with schemes to work. We have wonderful representation from the schools. We have representations from the police, fire, and first aid. And we have been working together with this group of people, a fantastic group of people, to come up with how the community would respond. The work that they did was, of course, very important, especially on 9/11. We had the Reverend and the Rabbi go out to the different clergy and talk with them about reaching out to their members. We had people come over to the senior center, and we also brought in therapists to deal with our own emergency service people who were coming back from Ground Zero. And from what they tell us, that was tremendously helpful to have someone to talk to when they got back. So our community response team, are there members here of the community response team? Jody? You want to come on up? Jody Karcher is here, and I will give the pins to Jody, and she can hand them out to the community response team. Jody is in charge of facilities for the schools, and she's done a fantastic job. For the first time in Highland Park history, this community response team brought together floor plans of all the buildings. Can you imagine, in case of an emergency, we didn't have floor plans, and Jody did a fantastic job with the schools to make sure that we knew where everything was. Thank you, Jody. Finally, I hope we're not missing anything. Finally, I have a packet here, and I don't think any of the members are here, but it's a packet for the Mayor's Teen Council. The Teen Council was formed in 2000, shortly after my inauguration, and the purpose of the Teen Council was to get input from the kids about what they wanted. What I found when I was going around the community knocking on doors is people were saying, kids have nothing to do. And instead of telling the kids what we wanted them to do, we thought that we would ask them. This Teen Council is not made up of your regular teens, the teens that join everything. These are not necessarily student council members. These are kids that are a diverse group of kids that can reach out into all the different populations. It is held here, and we have kids that are public school members and kids that go to private school, and also we have members of kids that are homeschooled. They have in the past held dances, they have a free SAT course, and this year their major project is they are going to be painting benches for the library with the word read in all of the different languages that are spoken in Highland Park. There are 1,500 school children in Highland Park. They speak 70 languages. Well, the kids, just the kids sitting in the room, I think we came up with 15 different languages of the kids sitting in the room that could help us do it. They've come up with a design. It's absolutely beautiful, and they're doing a wonderful job to bring the interests of kids into the borough. So I think, have we forgotten? Then there, of course, let me just mention a couple more. There are people in this borough that help out that are not members of commissions, that do tremendous volunteering, and they are wonderful. Many of them are members of our own staff, and they take time to help us out. They help in the food bank. They help after hours. They go over and above and beyond and all of those other over and above. And can we just take a minute to thank them for everything that they do for us? And now I'll turn it over to Carolyn.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank everyone for your patience, and certainly I appreciate, and Mayor and Council appreciate all that you do. Mary Lou Chris, Brandon Dublin, Ervil Light, Ida O'Connor, Mary Barnes, Madeline Coyle, and Stella Drost. If you would come, you're our 7 best networkers, and actually has networked with more than 29 people in this room. So your prizes are over here. We have envelopes, and we have a vase here. And for the rest of you who are sitting, if you would take a look under your seat, if you have a star, these are over here. If you have a star, you can take a free prize out of the box. But the grand prize winner has the American flag under their chair, and they're entitled to the wonderful centerpiece in the hall. That's for networking. That's what you get. Here's our grand prize winner. Yay! She gets the centerpiece that was donated by Hollywood and Vine. Congratulations. Ah, look at her. This is wonderful. And here's the mayor to present it. Oh, look at this. Is great. Tom, can you get a picture? Oh, that's wonderful. Congratulations. Tom? Got a little box. So there are more prizes up here in the box if you care to take them, and we want to thank SPAN. We have refreshments, so please take a few minutes and enjoy refreshments and network with your neighbor and friends. And we thank you again for coming out this evening.